Ryan Breslow is the founder and former CEO of Bolt, a company he started when he was 19. Bolt started as a Bitcoin wallet, then eventually pivoted to an application that tries to make the checkout experience one click. Early Bolt investors include Peter Thiel's Founders Fund. Peter Thiel is publicly both anti-democracy and anti-woman, having claimed that freedom is incompatible with democracy and that giving women the right to vote was a mistake. In Bolt's last fundraising round in January 2022, mere weeks before Ryan stepped down as CEO, they raised $355 million at a valuation of about $11 billion. Ryan made some questionable decisions as CEO of Bolt, including in a since-deleted tweet announcing the most employee-friendly stock option program. This program involved Bolt loaning employees money so that they could exercise their stock options. This was a more common thing in the 2000 tech bubble and is generally not advisable because not only is your employment and income tied to this company, but you now owe this loan and the rest of your wealth ends up in stock from that same company. So if something were to hypothetically happen to that company, you are not just fucked one way by losing your employment and income, you're not just fucked two ways by having to pay back this loan, you're fucked three ways because the wealth you were supposed to unlock by exercising these stock options is now gone because the company is less valuable. We'll get back to those loans, don't worry. Bolt also set out to acquire a tricky cryptocurrency company called Wire in an over $1 billion deal that, as far as I can tell, never closed. In May of 2022, a few months after Ryan stepped down as CEO in January, the New York Times dropped an investigation into Bolt that alleges that Bolt was repeatedly overstating their size and their capabilities in order to convince new customers to sign up. Authentic Brands, the company behind Brooks Brothers, yeah, like the preppy ties and other clothes, has sued them for failing to deliver on their promises. Authentic Brands had started using Bolt's product, but only on some of their brands and never on Brooks Brothers. But because Brooks Brothers was recognizable to investors and Forever 21 wasn't, even though Forever 21 did use Bolt and Brooks Brothers didn't, Bolt used Brooks Brothers' logo all over their website and in investor communications. This wasn't the only misrepresentation that Bolt was making. Their website included the clothing brand Guess, despite Guess never actually integrating their product, and an internal document of Bolt's reviewed by the New York Times laid out the advice. If it's a big merchant, you probably want to act like our integration is already underway. Not lie about it being done, but act as if it's close, the document said. If it's a smaller merchant, gauge how much we want them versus how excited they are. If we want them a lot and they're not absolutely ecstatic, then act as if we'll build it. Tiger Global, whose due diligence is generally how much money can we give you and how quick can you waste it, did enough due diligence, meaning in this case, calling up purported clients of Bolt's, that they were able to determine that those clients were unlikely to remain Bolt clients and passed on investing in Bolt. When your misrepresentations are so bad that Tiger Global can find them, whoo, you done fucked up. There was another conversation that the Times reviewed where Breslow, Ryan, admitted that he had exaggerated their revenue in an interview and let it go out anyway. Frankly, this story feels similar to the story of Frank, another financial company, this one acquired by JP Morgan for $175 million that reportedly had 4 million fake users. I did a video about that on my personal channel if you want to check it out. Getting back to the point, this news report comes out, and then shortly thereafter, Bolt starts layoffs. Yep, they raised $355 million, gave these loans to employees to exercise their stock options, and then started to lay off employees after it was revealed that they had been repeatedly misrepresenting their company. But none of his misdeeds with Bolt are why we're here today. This was all just prelude to help you understand the mind of Ryan. You see, Ryan, like we alluded to already, is not just a finance bro and a tech bro, he is also a crypto bro. Before he had even stepped down as CEO of Bolt, he had decided to start Movement DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. We'll get back to that, which focused on funding social impact causes. The future of charity or a replacement for GoFundMe were how he kind of pitched this to people. People participating in the DAO would be able to contribute their funds and then vote on causes that they wanted the DAO to support. Ryan has now filed a complaint in Florida alleging that basically all of the DAO's funds have been stolen. You see, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization was actually just a multi-signature wallet. A multi-signature wallet is a special type of cryptocurrency wallet where moving funds requires multiple keys to sign instead of just one. If most wallets are a lock that unlock with a single key, then a multi-signature wallet like this one has 7 locks and need at least 5 of them to have keys in order to unlock. Ryan had hired Mark Phillips to help actually develop the DAO, because you see, Ryan is really more of an ideas guy. Big picture. He sees a vision and he wants to do some movement towards it. He doesn't have to worry about actually creating a DAO. So he hires Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips had claimed to the DAO co-founders that he had experience as a coding engineer for the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and had impressed Ryan with his ability. Unfortunately for Ryan, Mark was actually a convicted fraudster with convictions for wire fraud and money laundering. Now, before we get into this next part, and before any of you feel compelled to make excuses for Ryan, remember, Ryan started Bolt as a Bitcoin wallet. He got his initial funding to help start Bolt from Bitcoin mining. Bolt had tried to acquire a cryptocurrency company. Ryan has been in crypto for years longer than I have. We should expect him to have a much deeper understanding than me. I've never mined cryptocurrencies. I've never run a cryptocurrency company. He has. So don't you dare start making excuses for this once billionaire. Getting back to the story of Movement DAO, they set up a multi-signature wallet to hold the roughly $16 million in funds that the co-founders had contributed to the DAO. Phillips, the fraudster, then eventually convinced the co-founders to hand over their keys to the multi-signature wallet until Phillips controlled the multi-sig. And then Phillips started forcing through a bunch of BS proposals to take the funds out of the DAO. Yep, that's right. They made a door with 7 locks that requires 5 keys and then gave all the keys to the fraudster they hired to run it and are now mad that he won't give them back their money. It's hard to make up people this stupid. Let's also get back to a really fundamental thing that makes me irrationally mad. This thing was called a DAO, or Decentralized Autonomous Organization. I will argue that this was not decentralized because the actual meat of the DAO, the treasury, was actually controlled by one convicted fraudster. That's not decentralized. I would also argue that it was not autonomous, because nothing happened autonomously. It required the fraudster to use the multisig to accomplish it. I would also argue that it was not really an organization, because all the actual movement was controlled by one fraudster. So the DAO was not a D, was not an A, and was not an O, and was actually just a way to handle the movement of millions of dollars into the hands of a certified dumbass into the hands of a convicted fraudster. Ryan Breslow started a payments company that misrepresented itself to get business, and a DAO that was not decentralized, autonomous, or an organization, but did transfer millions to a fraudster he hired. Truly, Ryan is a once-in-a-generation entrepreneur.